here. So the first one's ready to go, video. And then this one behind it, so you close it when you know the first one, the one behind it, you just click open course and then same thing, play the next one. But if you need me, just text me.
All I'm gonna do is close that and then the other one will pop up?
Yep, so play, close this little window and then click, this is the next course ready to go once you open it.
All right, great, thanks.
Well, hopefully.
Doing okay. Why don't we do this and we'll let the stragglers catch up.
We on time today.
That's right.
Barely made it.
I can figure out how to.
You might need to probably use the cursor, yeah.
Welcome to the
Hey, Sarah.
Morning, Sarah.
This is the practicable and proven Facebook for real estate agents course. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to do the practical and proven Facebook for real estate agents. We want to give you tips on how to get the most impact out of Facebook. And this is very important, ladies and gentlemen, because a recent Google study showed that 2 out of 3 people searching for a prospective agent researched them extensively online prior to working with them. 66%, 2 out of 3 search you, see what you're showing online before they decide to do business with you. And all we know is that number is going to continue to increase over time. So whenever you're branding yourself on Facebook, you want to think about what Digital Blitz said. Your goal is to have your customers see you as an asset. You want them to view you and your business as an industry leader or expert. You do this with the content you share and post. Ladies and gentlemen, it's pretty simple. Content attracts people. Great content attracts a lot of people. So what we want to do whenever we're posting to Facebook, we want it to make great content, but there's a couple of other rules to that too. HubSpot, a great marketing company, said this: it's time to increase the amount of visuals in your Facebook posts. This means that you should be making a conscious effort to use high-quality, engaging images in the content you end up sharing on Facebook. That's crucial, ladies and gentlemen. HubSpot goes on to say that the results of a survey show that if you use photos in your Facebook, the number of comments go up 104%, and the number of likes for that particular post go up 53%. Just think of yourself as you're going through your newsfeed on Facebook. What catches your eye? The words or pretty interesting picture? Same thing here, ladies and gentlemen. When you're posting, you want to make sure you have a powerful image along with your post. And forget about what everyone else is saying. Let's take a look at what Facebook says are the best ways to get engagement on Facebook. If you go to their site, they'll talk about 2 things. Number 1, use bold visuals. Grab your audience's attention by using simple images with a clear focal point. Images with highly saturated colors also help the creators stand out against the site's white background. So not only do you want pictures that really have a clear focal point, that have highly saturated colors, that make it jump off the line, like the picture to our right. The second thing that Facebook said was feature images that capture your brand. Ideally, your profile image will be your logo or other brand symbol, but people should also recognize your brand in the images you feature. An internal study showed that when a brand was immediately identifiable, meaning they know what you do for a living, it performed better in terms of recall and purchase consideration. You want to make sure you're branding yourself as a real estate expert. You want to make sure that your cover photo is something that screams out real estate. If you're an equestrian, if you sell a lot of equestrian properties, maybe it should be the picture of a beautiful horse farm. You want your pictures and everything you post on Facebook with pictures to jump out as your brand. Now you might ask me, see, why do you have a golf club there and a golf ball? Well, probably one of the examples of what I would send you as far as people really truly understanding the rules of Facebook or the guidelines of Facebook is I'll go to the Golf Channel. They do a phenomenal job. First of all, they have as their profile picture, their logo. And as a cover shot, they keep on switching it out to whatever the next best coffee event is. Go to their site, take a look at it, because as soon as you go to that site, you know it's about golf. And you know about it, you know it's about the best you can learn about golf. Let's use them as a role model to help us with that. And let's make sure that we're putting visuals out there that make people realize what we're talking about. We did a series recently, Reasons to Own, number 6. You can select the community where people share your values. We wanted to make sure as we go through each one of these slides, as I'm speaking, take a look at the slide, see what we attempted to do. We tried to get a visual feeling from the photo. We wanted the photo to jump off the page. And we went through a series of reasons to own your home. That's what you need to do on Facebook, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure your pictures are powerful and make sure they're branding you as an industry expert. Every post you make should have a visual, and every post you make should brand you as someone that could be seen as a trusted advisor. That's the power behind posting on Facebook.
Thank you for taking the Practicable and Proven Facebook for Real Estate Agents course. Click the next button to take a short quiz reinforcing your knowledge.
All right, so the reason I'm doing this, we'll watch the second one in a minute too, is just to kind of point us toward something else that I found that I wanted to kind of open the discussion on. But when you hear those things, I mean, obviously, we've talked about this a lot, but it's important to be there. Personally, I get nervous about this whole new thing about the fact they're going to have their own financing, this crypto. I don't know if you've heard about that just the last few days. And I know that, years ago, we didn't know that there'd be X and that kind of thing. And so at some point, we'll probably be totally comfortable with it. But it just feels like, again, that Facebook is grabbing a hold of another place where you may not want to go. But the bottom line is, from a business standpoint, you need to be there. They're just, the number of people that are on Facebook on a daily basis is just unbelievable. And so you've got to figure out for yourself, am I going to be in this? Am I going to be in this medium, or if I'm not, what am I going to do instead? And we're going to talk about some of that a little bit later. But if I am going to be in the medium, then how am I going to be in it? And I think, hey there.
I did, sorry.
That's okay. I think that we can move around.
I'm good, I'm right here.
The key from my standpoint, I think, like Sarah, Yona, Barb, I think are doing really good jobs there. Logan, you're starting to get there. Susan, I know you don't do a lot with Facebook, right?
Yes, that is an understatement.
Okay.
It's operator.
Right.
Operator error.
And I'm going to talk about operator error in just a minute, because I think that's true for most of us. But I think the key to the Facebook scenario is growing. Think about it as we talk about expanding our sphere of influence. We talk about that all the time. We talk about the fact that the one word, we boil everything down to one word in this business. It's about having contacts, and having contacts that we can ultimately either do business with, or they're going to refer us to people that we can do business with. And so you think of your personal page as expanding your sphere of influence. And so, Sarah, you did a great job on vacation. I mean, I was drawn to everything that you did in regards to all the different things you were doing as a family in Florida. And I think it substantiates what Steve is talking about in this thing, is that the pictures were just, they were just so much fun to look at and see everybody's having fun and that kind of thing. I loved the the whole aspect, the whole theme of adventure and, that kind of thing. And what that does is it draws people there. And I don't know if you found that you've got more friend requests during that time. but go back and kind of look. But what I would say is, if you think about expanding the sphere of influence, and however many people you have on your personal page, what needs to be happening is, just as, and again, we talk about this all the time, just as you're communicating your sphere of influence, use Facebook to communicate with your sphere of influence. And what I mean by that is, every so often, share what you've put on your business page on your personal page. Not all the time, because the vacation, the this, the that, that's, people like to see that. But just like he said, you want to continually remind people what it is you do for a living. And you want to continue to again, build rapport, gain credibility, show people you care. And so from time to time, and something that, just as an example, something I've been doing, and you probably have noticed it in the last 3 weeks, is when you all post something about an open house or something about business, I'll either share it onto my page or I'll like it, because I want people in my sphere of influence to see that I've liked this, so that hopefully they show up at the open house, or they call you about the listing that you posted, or whatever the case may be. But the reason I'm doing it, again, is to remind people that I'm the broker and CEO of Royal Realty Company, and my agents are doing all these phenomenal things, and I don't do it all the time, because I don't want people to stop coming there.
What's every so often, if you had the time?
I think a couple, 3 times a week would be enough. I wouldn't do more than that. I think if you do once a week, it's better than what you're probably doing now. And so anyway, the point of all this is, I just want to point us toward the fact that this is something that there are lots of people going there. I don't know what I did on my phone or my iPad, or I did something where now I get every day, I get something that tells me how much screen time I did today. And maybe that, updated things, so that may just be a new thing. But it was kind of scary.
Yeah.
I mean, I looked at that thing and went, oh crap, you're kidding me. I had no idea that, Now, it may be that I've got my Facebook open on my computer on my table, and I've gone away, and so I'm not really looking at it. But I mean, and right now with my life, I'm probably more sedentary than I normally am. But anyway, the point being is, that was pretty amazing that, for somebody who doesn't think they're on that much, I'm on a fair amount, right? And if I'm on a fair amount, that means everybody else is on a fair amount. So what do I do to put myself in a position to attract those people? And again, build rapport with them, gain credibility. And we've talked about that, and we can go back over that at some point, or you can go back to Roadmap for Success and look at the personal promotion stuff. There are all sorts of ways that, every morning, one of the first things I do is I look at who has a birthday. And then I never post on their page. I either message them, or if I have their phone number, I'll text them. Or if I don't have their phone number, I'll email them. I try to stay away. I try to get that greeting to them in a different way than just blah, blah, blah on them. Because everybody's doing that. I mean, we all see it. Somebody has a birthday, and, just lots and lots of things. But it gives me a chance of listening as to what's going on with somebody's birthday, or it's somebody's anniversary, or, oh my gosh, I didn't know that such and such died. And it gives me an opportunity to engage with that person that maybe I wouldn't have done before. And that's what I've said lots of times, is you can have your personal page, and then you can have your business page. And all you have to do is set up a personal page to have a business page. You never have to put anything on the personal page if you don't want to. But it gives you a chance to listen, to add friends that you feel like are your friends, and to listen to what's going on in their lives, see what's going on. And if you decide to engage them, do it in a way that's different than everybody else. But the point of all of this being, and operator error is where I was going, and it reminded me, it reminded me of what Steve said about golf. Is I created a business page, or a separate page for Central Virginia Golf. And my plan was to get all the golfers to be going to that page, and then sharing business things on it, like golf course listings, things like that. And I just haven't done a good job of it. I got probably 60, 80 people on it. I mean, that's nothing compared to how many golfers are in the Central Virginia area. So I know I need to do that better. Same thing with my radio show. I do a better job with my Real Estate Matters, Facebook page, and I do go back and forth between personal and that kind of thing to let people know I have that. But it's stunning to me how many people don't know I have a radio show. Been on for 9 years, and people that I'm not talking about somebody I don't know, but people that know me and have some understanding of what I do. It's amazing to me, and quite honestly, I'm obviously not doing a great job of that because I've got 700 or so people on it, which isn't bad, but it's not like I'm not going to get nationally syndicated with 700 people following. And
I'll make you feel better. You're an award recipient. Yeah, you're an award. I just wanted to say, you get the local.
No, I've got some credibility. I've literally won awards for the show, but it's just amazing that I haven't. And one of the things I probably need to do more, if I really want to engage that, is I probably need to boost it. I probably need to do what I tell you guys to do and spend a little bit of money and boost it and target it. And then the other thing on your business page is go into your business page and you can invite people to do it. And I forget about that. And so when I have a few minutes, I'll sit down and I'll hit the invite and I'll just start going down. It's alphabetical. And I don't invite everybody. But I did it this week with because I knew this is what I was going to talk about. I did it this week. Logan, Logan just accepted the invite. You accepted the invite a while back. But the point being is, I did the invite and I got 4 or 5 new people that are viewing that Facebook page that weren't on it 3 days ago. So for your business page, just go on there. And the nice thing about what's there is when you go in there and you start scrolling down, it'll say already invited. So you don't have to do that again, or you can proactively reach out to that person and say, gosh, I'd love for you to follow me on my business page. If you get a chance, go on and like it. So, but it is about operator. It is about having a system in place that I'm doing something as it relates to that. And there are things, and this is above my pay grade, but there are things that you can do to set it up. Chris can teach you to do that for the next couple of days.
Right.
And then when we get the replacement, they can teach you. But you can set it up. You see something, and you can set it up that this is what I want to post out on Wednesday. This is what I want to post out a week from Monday. You go on vacation, you don't have to think about it. You can set it up, and they're going to post anyway, unless you change it. So anyway, just some thoughts. What jumps out at you guys?
Also with that, if you see something that you want to post that day, I guess there's, statistics that show that most people are on Facebook at I think it's at 10 a.m. If you come into the office, you get, the main stuff that you need to get done, and you take a break and you hop on Facebook.
Yep.
So if you see something, you post it so that it will post at 10 or 10:30.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And
there are particular days too. I can't remember, but here's the thing. You think, okay, that sounds great. You can set up just a reminder on your phone. At 10 o'clock every morning, your phone says post on Facebook, or every Wednesday, or every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 o'clock. What I do is I just create an appointment, post 10 to 10:15. So every day I get a 15-minute warning at 9:45 that says, post something on Facebook. Or
phone is being all day.
Yeah, it does. But if I don't do that kind of thing, then I forget.
Right.
And as you know, I post something every morning, sort of motivational, spiritual, whatever. Well, what that is I'm sitting and reading and stuff, and when something really jumps out at me, I copy and paste it, and I put it into a file. And then I know at 7:30 every morning, I'm going into my file, and if I didn't read something that morning that jumped out at me, I go into that file, and I find something I've gotten from some other time. And so it's, people say, what service are you using for that?
My brain.
And I go, well, it's just my own, what I'm reading and how it's impacting me and how I think it's going to impact others. And but anyway,
that makes it more meaningful.
Right. But anyway,
services. I just wanted to say there are services.
Yeah. But the point being is now at 7:30, I don't need it today. It's going to happen at 7:30 in the morning. And last week, I forget what I was doing, but I got distracted. And And then all of a sudden I realized at 12 that I'd never posted anything that morning. So I went in and posted something at 12:30 or something like that. But the point being is, I think it was, I got Dottie coffee and then I did something else. And next thing I knew, I just was on to other stuff.
Did probably notice.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, some people can say, oh my goodness, is it okay? You can post it
Well,
this morning.
and you know, when I got sick, that happened a lot. There were a number of people that
They
said,
were up.
I haven't heard from you. Are you okay? You know, those kind of things. Of course, I couldn't move at that point, so they didn't get responded to for a while. But anyway, those are just, you know, different things that it doesn't have to take a lot of time. It's just about having a system in place that you make sure that it happens.
And the other thing is that I've been trying to do with the picture thing, Instagram. If you post on Instagram, you can automatically check that button that it'll post on Facebook too. So it's like a two-for-one.
Yeah, it is.
For me, it's operating. It's not knowing how. I mean, I can't tell you how I struggle to get those posts. I mean, it's just, because I've never used it before. I've never posted stuff
Right.
before. So the operating is extremely difficult for me to navigate.
You talk to Casey's like on Facebook constantly, to the point where I have to say, I don't like personal pictures.
See, my
That's-
husband doesn't even
I'm
touch
very
it. He
proud.
doesn't care. He doesn't,
I
yeah.
mean, you personal.
There was an article. this
My wife's the
morning.
same way.
There was-
I don't like it at all.
yeah.
My wife's on Instagram just so she can see pictures of the
Does it have
grandkids.
like,
Yeah.
so I know what my grandson.
That's what I do quote my mom.
I do post, but it has to be.
Inadvertently to be hitting things that are creating stories that she's not being creative. Like,
Yeah.
this could get bad. How do we help Granny stop doing it?
Yeah.
But if it was up to Casey, probably would have posted the whole vacation on Facebook, and I'm like,
Well, and again, that's a great example. I personally, not to offend anybody, but Sarah's posting was vacation, but it was about all these different events versus wait here and we did this. And that,
my dinner plate.
yeah, you know, there's a difference there because I think that if you post enough pictures of either one, you're gonna get jealous or whatever, and people are just gonna, I'm not gonna go, I'm not going there. Like I have a friend right now at the beach, and they've been there for 2 days, and the number of pictures already that
That brings up a question, because you're having that reaction, and this person, I had to notice at reunion, I was at my 40th reunion, and I discovered more people not in Facebook than I realized. There's more of me than I thought. It was kind of reassuring, actually, because I thought I was the only one left in my husband. But there was sort of the folks that were overdoing it. We're hanging out in the tavern that we all hung out at when we were kids, and they're joking about Jackie's already got. We haven't even been here half an hour. There's stuff on Facebook. Let it rest. I mean, that's not perceived as a positive by so many people that I know that I don't want to edge anyone.
Right.
You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
that's a
And
negative.
so what like, I'm not saying I'm right, but if you watch the way I do things, we were at Homestead for a couple days, and it all came in one little, I created a layout, which I was quite proud of myself. I did this app.
wonderful.
I did this app on, Facebook makes it easy. You click post a photo and you do it, but on Instagram you gotta lay it out. And so somebody taught me about this app, so I've got this layout app, and Katie, my daughter, is hilarious. Whoa, Dad, look at the collage, kind of thing. But the point being is, it was for me, okay, this is what we did, this is what the positive thing was, but there's only one, and it wasn't, yeah.
Continuously.
Because people will turn it off.
Yeah.
I get
I
good
block
buddies
people.
like you
Right.
said. Somebody
Yeah.
sends me one picture of what they're eating, they're done. I'm not going to. And that's his reaction. Now, that's-
But here is the thing, and this is what I want to do, and we'll go to the next thing. We probably already talked about a bunch of these things. You can't make your decisions based on your feelings. And the point being is there are a lot of people out there that are on it. And so find the happy medium that you can be comfortable with and you can be able to engage in it, because it just is, there are a lot of people that are doing it, and to not be there because you don't like it, you can choose not to do it. And we'll get to the second half of this after we watch this thing. There are other ways you can generate business, right? I mean, you can generate business and spend a lot of money on a Zillow zip code. You can spend a lot of money on or time on doing this. And if neither of those are what you want to do, well, then you got to figure out, okay, where am I going to create new contacts? Where am I going to expand my sphere of influence? And so again, it's real easy to, because we're all saying the same things. It's real easy to say, well, yeah, but I may offend somebody. Yeah, and you might, but if you do it in a balanced way, I don't think you will. And two, there's so many people that if you don't do it, are going to see other people's posts and for whatever reason, they're going to reach out to that person versus you. And anyway, that makes sense?
No, it does.
All right, let's see here. See if I can do this without having to call my buddy down. Uh-oh.
Was that first one Steve Harney?
That was Steve Harney, yeah.
When he says, ladies and gentlemen, you know,
He's
ladies and
available.
gentlemen, regular. He is regular stuff matters.
I really like this guy too.
Hello, I'm Matthew Ferrara. In this video, we're going to look at ways to make social media more effective. You know, social media is always changing, so it's up to us to constantly refine and adjust our marketing plan. The key is to monitor our engagement with our social network and to make changes to constantly increase our visibility and our presence. Our first idea today is about driving our visibility on Facebook, and this is specifically for those of you who have a business page. These tips are all about boosting your posts because it's a comparably more effective way than many other web advertising activities to get traffic. Now, the key to boosting posts on Facebook is to use the targeting features. The targeting features enable us to choose the audience who will see our posts. So we create a post and add the content, then we click the boost button, and we look for the targeting controls so that we can make sure the right people are seeing the right message. Things like clicking use people who like this page, or use people who like this page and their friends, which help us expand their reach. Now, another great feature of boosting our posts is the call to action button, and this is pretty new. The call to action button adds an additional way people can engage with the content, a button like learn more, or sign up, or even book an appointment now. These are ways that we can create an activity someone can do when they see our ad. Additionally, you can refine your boost post audiences. You can do that by country, by state, by zip code, and now you can even do it by address. So you can put a street address of a listing in and target people who are right near it.
Oh, wow.
The last piece about boosting Facebook posts is that you don't have to pay for a lot of advertising. You can buy just a few days, see how the ad runs, and then refine it and add more at any time. Now, another Facebook business page tip is to use the call to action button on the page itself. These buttons can say things like call me now, or contact us, or sign up, like our newsletter, even learn more and watch our video. These buttons are prominent at the top of the page, and they come right under the large banner image that you have there. They'll encourage people to act when they visit. They also can be promoted, so they're like another opportunity for constant advertising on Facebook. And when you use the boost post promotions, they not only appear on Facebook, but they appear on Instagram as well, which Facebook now owns. Finally, these buttons can be linked to an app, so you can actually push people to download their personal marketing or inventory app.
That's why you can click and put it on there. If they didn't own it, they wouldn't do that.
There's a new feature called Create Lead Generation Marketing Campaigns, and it's exactly like it sounds, a way to generate leads right out of Facebook. It allows you to create a special kind of ad, which is actually a form. And this form can have an image and some text or bullet points, and then it has sign-up fields like name, phone number, email address, and other contact information. Once you create this form, you create an ad campaign in the ad manager, but rather than simply a picture and some marketing text, hoping that people will visit or click your website, you can actually drive people to the form and collect information as an inquiry. Facebook even allows you to use additional marketing features like a photo carousel or even a video inside the lead ad. Now, every lead that's captured is notified to you and stored for 90 days. You can download them to keep them permanently. The lead generation ads appear directly in the newsfeed timelines of your targeted audience, just like any
I got that ad.
So those are 3 new ways
The Apple
to
ad?
expand your marketing needs.
Green apples and red, that was on mine.
Ever-improving suite of marketing and advertising tools for business pages. I'm Matthew Ferrara. Good luck.
Is this all in Party?
Yeah. All right, so that is a lot of information. I would really encourage you to go on to Leading RE Institute and watch it again, and because he talks so fast, but there was 5 things in there that if you just did those, I mean, one, I didn't, that's why you click that button to have it post on Facebook. If Facebook didn't own Instagram, Instagram wouldn't be letting you post to Facebook, right? Two, that lead generation campaign, to just try that. It's so inexpensive, but just to try it and try different things. I would probably start with an open house, where if you've got a property that's coming on the market that is, that's what I would try, and just see what happens. I mean, if you get leads off of it, unlike Zillow and these other places, it spends a lot of money. It's relatively inexpensive to give it a try and to put yourself in a position. I don't know the answer to this question, and I guess probably ask Chris this, but I'm guessing that the more of that you do, the more that your search engine optimization gets increased, because you're putting things on, Facebook, the videos and things like that, and the way Google and everything works. But anyway, the point being is, there's lots of really good information, and that's, again, why I want to do this, is by going in when you have, just a half an hour, just once a week. If you just mark in leading RE classes on Friday at 10:30, you can go in, sign in, and you can watch 2 or 3 of these in an area that you're trying to concentrate on, or you're working with getting a listing and going in and watching 2 or 3. They're all 6, 7, 8 minutes long. You do 2 or 3 of them in a half an hour, easy, and just getting new information for yourself in regards to dealing with difficult seller. Getting somebody to reduce the price. You could just take different themes and do that. But I would do it like this. Watching is great, but then going back, and even it's only 7 minutes. You can watch it 2 or 3 times and make sure that stop it, make some notes, to ask how to do this or whatever the case may be. So, thoughts on that?
Brain current.
Yeah.
Brain current.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
These guys, they are is unbelievable.
Oh, they're amazing.
Yeah.
They're
I
just
put
put so much stuff out. I have to tell you though, Megan helped me automate it's not the right word, but anyhow, I set it up on an automatic feed that I do have stuff going to the Yes2 page.
All those are done.
And at the same time also going to Twitter. And I think I'm going to ask you to do the same thing for Instagram. And it did give me more visibility.
What was your content source?
Real estate, living,
Personal, the stuff that you
just
pulled
stuff
from.
just stuff that I pulled, yeah. And she had it set up on an
So
automatic feed.
and
So I don't need to worry about it because I don't have to be 7:30 in the morning, drive messing in my house, but I can do my place, so I have to kind of ask. And, have it.
Does it pull
It pulls
automatically, or
automatically.
you have to pick the
No, it pulls
content?
automatically.
But you're happy with it, because that's the one thing, sometimes
I
content.
do. I do, and then sometimes I do something personal.
Okay,
And some posts don't allow you to share.
Yeah, you got to click the public. You got to go in and click public versus.
So the English really-
Yeah.
So is that what you do?
They're different. There's a public, and then there's your friends. You can just
Right.
post it to your friends, or you can actually create. Again, if you're uncomfortable with Facebook, and you take the time, you can literally create a Facebook group
Yeah.
of just your sphere of influence, just people that you want. Let's just, for the sake of discussion, say it's your A+ people. You can create a Facebook private group of just your Facebook people and invite them into it. And then you've got 20 or 25 people. They may get something different than everybody else gets. You'll see that around our industry as well. You'll see people create and invite you into a realtor professional group or whatever. That's somebody intentionally creating something and adding people into it, and you have to ask to be included. If somebody sees it someplace else and they're interested, you can say, "Now become a member," and they may choose not to allow you because you don't meet the parameters of what that group is about. But yeah, especially when you're doing automatic stuff, you have to be careful, because if it's not set up right to be distributed to public, so it goes out to everybody that you have that sees your page, then it can limit it. So sometimes you'll see posts where somebody will post something and say, would you please click public so I can share it? Right?
Yeah.
Because unless they do that, somebody else can't share that to somebody else. And again, if you're trying to promote a listing, and this is another thing that I don't see a lot of people do that I think would be an easy thing to do, is one of the first things I would do is I would create something from my seller to put on their Facebook page. We've recently listed our home with such and such. Here's the video. If you know anybody who's thinking about buying, please reach out to me or my agent. That's powerful because it's not coming from you. It's coming from them personally. And I very rarely see people do that. I mean, I'll see testimonials, that kind of thing, that my agent did, blah, blah. But I don't see a lot of the seller themselves posting something. And my guess is if you create something and say, hey, will you please post this on your page? Why would they not? They're trying to sell their home. And it just adds a whole other group of people, again, sphere of influence people that are going to see that. And if you set it up or they set it up and highlight you so that your name is highlighted, well, then it's going to show up on your page.
On your business page.
If you set it up that way.
Right.
If you put in Sarah Paczynski, Realtor, or whatever, then it'll show up on the business page. Yeah, that's right.
And likewise, can you do a separate Instagram? Instagram, I see is right. I mean,
Yeah.
putting house stuff,
Yeah.
whatever we have in Instagram.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's something I noticed, even the folks that I were hearing saying not on Facebook, but they were all on Instagram. It's like, well, that's interesting. Can you have a separate, like, I wouldn't want to use my personal Instagram to promote a listing because my friends would be like, no. So can you set up a separate Instagram account?
I don't see why you can't, because Roy Wheeler has its own.
Is it tied to an email address, like a unique email? I actually don't. I have no idea.
That's
So that you
Chris.
could promote a listing on a business, like it's your real estate Instagram account.
I have two.
That's what I mean, you have too.
You have both accounts.
So that your.
Is one a Yes Team business Instagram?
See, yes, team, and the other one is your Smith with the L.
Okay, then it's possible.
Yes, but I try not to, I do the same thing that you do, I try not to. Not put too much business operational stuff in there.
Yeah, but what she's saying is she's not going to do anything.
I don't want to do.
She don't want to put anything on the personal one. She wants to keep that the same. She wants to just begin to market.
Yes,
Yeah.
set up a separate account.
Yeah.
Do that. I think that would be, and then tie it to Roy Wheeler and tie it to this and tie it to
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, because anytime you post something, like when I post something on Twitter or my Real Estate Matters business page, and it pertains to Roy Wheeler, I'll put at Roy Wheeler RE, and I know it's going to show up on the Roy Wheeler Twitter page, or I'll put at Roy Wheeler and the corporate Facebook page, and I know that it's going to show up on the corporate page. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I know what you're saying is how to do it.
Yeah,
And I
it's so easy.
I don't tweet, so I don't
Yeah,
even.
but even on Facebook, if you do Facebook and you say, well, hashtag, but I'm talking about the at and then Roy Wheeler Realty Company, then when you do that, it's going to show up on whatever you've highlighted. Like when I take a picture at Jay's Lunch and Learn, and I tag all your pictures, your names on it, that shows up on your Facebook page.
Right.
Because I've tagged you. Now you can go in and untag it if you want. Right. But it's real easy. Just ampersand, the at,
Yeah.
and then whatever the name is, and it'll pop up and it'll show it as a highlighted. And it'll give you selections like at SA, and then it'll give you selections of the SAs that you have, and you put an R in, and it'll give you selection R, and you slowly but surely get to the right name.
Yeah,
So,
this is what I mean. This is awesome. This is Fiona's. I mean, it's awesome.
What they're doing
Right.
is all real estate.
Yeah, but I love that.
Yeah.
Try not to,
But
kind of false.
literally, how do I say it? I asked to follow you. How do I do that?
If you talk about Instagram,
This
I
is
had
so
one
good.
of those suggested
What do I
posts
do?
this morning on my Facebook, and just out of nowhere,
Like on.
from curator.com.
Yeah.
7 things real estate agents must master when getting started on Instagram. So I saved the email, and it's interesting, and it talks about the science of your Instagram feed.
and where did it come from?
It was curator.com. It just was a suggested post that showed up on my Facebook.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and that was a boost.
Real estate and.
And that was a
okay.
boost. That was somebody who
Real
paid
estate
to
agents and getting started on Instagram.
curator.com.
Oh, I love to see. Yeah.
Curator, Curator. So what that is curator.com, right? Went in, boosted the page, and probably put realtors in Charlottesville. And so you showed them. Yep.
And we're talking about it.
Yep.
In person.
Right.
That's right.
I
There
wouldn't
you
be
go.
surprised if you're not getting something on your feet.
Right now, because we're talking about it.
Oh, no, but it is so, it is
Yeah.
really,
It's really getting scary.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some stuff that's.
There was something that happened the other day that it absolutely had to, I mean, it was just something that Dottie and I don't ever discuss.
Yeah.
And something popped up on the right side.
Okay, do you have a Echo or an Alexa or
Yeah.
anything like that? Do you think that was the source?
Could have been, I don't know.
Because this is
No, I think
this is not okay.
I just think it's the phone, honestly.
Well, this- but that means they're listening.
No, I think they are.
Hello!
Well, I'm used to doing the last, I think it's been lost. I'm used to it.
It's terrible. That's why I don't, I mean, I don't have any, but I mean, it's just, that's crazy.
If I can hold keep back on.
Good luck.
Oh my gosh, Tom will just get on, because Shannon will be on the computer in the kitchen, which is what he uses. So, oh, this Lily Pulitzer coming up in the sidebar. I'm like, that's your daughter. God, he is her.
All right, so this, what I just gave you, should make you breathe easier.
Oh, good, thank
It's
you.
it's a lower
Thank
key
you.
sort of thing. 5 local ways to
A cheat
compete
sheet.
with
Yay.
big tech.
Thank you.
This came out of Inman News, which, by the way, you all have a free subscription
all.
of this if you sign up
Yes.
because of your membership at CAR and Virginia
John.
Realtors Association. So, and I would encourage you to do that. Once a day, you get Inman headlines.
We have free Inman.
Yeah.
I've been paying for Inman for years.
Oh, no,
Will they give me a credit?
I don't know. It just happened. It just
Okay,
happened in the
all right,
last few
thank you,
months.
because earlier-
But it's been long enough that you've wasted some money.
Yes, you did.
Well, I mean, somebody suggested Inman when I was
This is,
last
these are
year.
revealing.
And eventually I got on, went back and I got on at the same time. And
Well,
then it went free?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that just ticks me off.
That means you need to be reading the things that CAR sends you and reading the things that Michael sends you.
I do, I don't know, I'm
Yeah.
sure, I'm sure.
Anyway, the point being is, there's all sorts, we talked about just, that's why I wanted to have that conversation that we just had. This is very easy in a few minutes. This kind of goes back to, Michael's way of doing things. I was really pleased with this and the fact that, it talks about the tech stuff, but then if you turn the page, here are 5 community building marketing tips. Go for a walk. And I can tell you that this is true. By personal experience, I don't have a dog and I don't have little kids at the bus stop. But I had Guillain-Barré. And because I had Guillain-Barré, I'm trying to get stronger. So now Dottie and I are walking in the morning. And we started with 10 minutes. And the good news is, day before yesterday, I walked 1.5 miles in 30 minutes.
Awesome.
Which is amazing. But the point being is, I've met several neighbors that I'd never met before. Just walking in the morning because they're walking their dogs or they're getting their newspaper or whatever the case may be. And so, it's easy to just meet people by going for a walk. And whether it's in your neighborhood or whether it's in a geographic area that you want to be specialized in. It maybe not your neighborhood, but you just get out of your car and you walk. So it's your exercise for the day. Learn the dog names.
I care more that you remember the dog name than them.
And just as an example, the other day I'm walking and I couldn't find my cane because I don't use it anymore, but I take it with me on the walk in case I go too far and I need it. I couldn't find it. Still can't find it. I think it's in the trunk of my convertible and I just have to open to get in there. But the point being is I use my 7-iron as my cane. So I'm walking in the neighborhood, twiddling my 7-iron, and I hear somebody say, hey, feel free to use my driveway anytime. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, look down here. And he had on his driveway a turf with a big net where he sits in his driveway and he hits golf balls into the net. Now, I've never met him before. I said, well, I'll have to remember that. I'll put a couple balls in my shorts and I'll hit a couple balls as I'm doing this. But what I just realized in talking about it is what I need to do is go back and figure out the address, go to Albemarle GIS or the Still Meadow newsletter and write him a note. Hey, thanks for, thanks for your good sense of humor the other morning. I really appreciate it. Whatever. Just drop him a note. And all of a sudden I've engaged him and put it on my Roy Wheeler business card or whatever the case may be. And he's going to know I'm in the real estate business. And who knows what happens. So just go for a walk and just make it part of it's great exercise. But it's also a way of meeting with people. Get involved with a non-realtor nonprofit board. You guys are doing a great job with that. Put yourself in place where you can make a difference, but at the same time, you can impact your sphere of influence. Not that it should be this, but try to find a non-realtor nonprofit board that doesn't have another realtor on it, so that you can be the realtor in that situation. It's not always easy to do that, but you can. And if there is another realtor on it, then your job is going to be to build rapport, gain credibility, show those people you care, so you differentiate yourself from the other person. And it's not that you're going in there to ask for business. You're hoping that, like, having that information and starting a relationship with that person, at some point they ask you. When they ask you, they've given you permission to tell them how you go about doing business and that kind of thing. Find an opportunity to support your local school district. It's a great time to do this. As we go into the summer, your what do they call it? The 12-month employees, the principal, those kind of people, they're in school right now. And they're working, obviously, but they probably have downtime that they don't have during the school year. What elementary school is an area where you're trying to do business in? I would go and introduce myself and say, can I meet with you? Can go on Albemarle County or the city school website and find out who the principal is. Walk in and say, hey, I'd like to. My name is such and such. I'd like to introduce myself to the principal. May not be a good time. Hey, no problem. Can you leave her or him my card? And just let them know that I'd love to set up an appointment to hear about the school because I market myself in this area. And then once you've done that, then what you do is you find out who the head of the PTO is. You may even call that the head of the PTO and say, hey, would love to engage and help you guys this school year. When do you have back to school night on the calendar? Well, it's September 17th. Would it be okay if I sponsored the refreshments that night and provide drinks and stuff to eat and that kind of stuff? My guess is they're going to love that. And what you do is you go to Jay or whoever and say, hey, you want to do this with me? And so you're just paying it for yourself. You get somebody else to do it and you have some brownies or whatever. But the point being is, you're going to have a chance, if they let you do that, you're going to see every parent in that school that's going to come through there. And obviously you've got refreshments that the kids like as well as the adults. So all the kids are certainly going, hey, can we get a brownie? Can we get blah, blah, blah. Anyway, you get my point.
Yes.
So find an opportunity to support the local school. I personally, this is just me, I think the elementary school is a place to start. There are more parents involved in the elementary school. There are less parents in middle school and there are less parents in high school. So if I really want to get my most bang for my buck, I would find an elementary school and do that. And I'm going to guess that nobody's offered to do that. Go ahead.
Well, and I also think because we all have to be so careful when we talk about schools.
Right.
That it gives you actually some really good specifics, without launching an opinion about it. In other words, we never make a subjective comment about whether this school is good or bad or anything. Right? We just talk about it. But to be able to say, hey, go talk to so-and-so.
And that's the key. Would you mind, as I've got buyers in this area, if an agent asks me about the schools, would you mind if I tell them who would be at the school, the person for them to come in and have a tour?
Exactly right.
So then you can say, I've heard good things about the school, and I'd say that about every school. Heard good things about that school. Every school is different. But if you really want to get an idea, call Bill Smith.
Exactly.
And set up a tour.
Relationship with them.
That's right.
And that to me is the safest answer when it comes to schools. Because they are entirely personal. Every child's different. Every family's different. Go talk to the people at that school.
And, they can go online and Google good schools and things like that. There's things on there that they can look at. The fourth one, and I'm not good at this, maybe you're better than I am, is shop and eat. I mean, I do shop and eat local. But the point being is, why am I not, and a guy by the name of, some of you who've been with me for a while might remember the name Rick DeLuca. Rick was a guy that was a real estate trainer back a long time ago, and he and I were joined at the hip in regards to how we do things, although he was much better at this than I am. You go into places on a regular basis. Let's take, for example, one of our favorite places is Oak Heart Social on West Main Street. We love the small plate, whatever. And I'm in there a lot, and I have told people to go there. But never once have I asked to meet the manager or the owner. Why not? I'm in there. This is my favorite restaurant. I just want you to know I send people here all the time. I just want to introduce myself and appreciate what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. And, hopefully they say, what do you do?
Yeah.
And if they don't, give them your card and just say, here's my information. If I can ever help you in any way, don't hesitate. And Rick DeLuca tells the story about he used to have breakfast once every Friday morning at Denny's in, where was he from? If I had a nod, Reno, Nevada. And he had breakfast at this Denny's, and this same waitress served him. And finally he said to her, you're really great at what you do. And I really appreciate the way you pay attention to me and fill my coffee cup up and whatever. Have you ever thought about getting into real estate? Because I think you'd be really good. Oh, no, I could never do that. She's an older woman. Oh, no, I could never do that. Okay, well, if you ever think about it, let me know because I think you'd be great. And by the way, do you own your own home? And I don't know if it's the same week or whatever, but then he asked the question, do you own home? And she said, no, I don't. I said, well, I would love to help you buy a house. And the point of this story is the fact that she never bought a house. But she referred over $5 million worth of real estate to him.
Wow.
Because of the relationships he built with her, and anybody that came into Denny's in Reno and said, I'm thinking about real estate. Oh, you need to call Rick DeLuca. And never had to pay a referral fee because she was, not licensed. And over $5 million of real estate. And this was a long time ago. So the average sales price was probably $100,000 or whatever. She referred him a lot of business. Why are we doing that? We're paying money to go to their place. And the same thing with our dentist and our doctor and, those kind of things. And then finally, all the previous points boil down to one thing, and that's being seen. And I would add making contacts. You can't hide behind a computer. All this other stuff is great. But what really makes a difference is when we're being seen. It's face to face. And it can be in a lot of different ways. You can be seen by, we've talked about this, previewing houses. And then once you preview the house, going and knocking on the door next door and knocking on the door on the other side and knocking on the door across the street and just say, hey, I'm Michael Guthrie. I'm with Realty Company. I'm previewing this house because I'm holding an open house over here this coming weekend. I just want to introduce myself and ask, how do you like the neighborhood? There's 3 opportunities.
You know anybody who wants to move?
Right. Or you find out they're renting. And so whatever. And again, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago in AHA. If you're not comfortable going by yourself, and I get that, just try it together. And we talked about it with for sale by owners, but the same thing with previewing. Go and preview houses in a particular neighborhood and just try it. And if you get business from it, share it. Because you're together at that point. And who knows what comes from that. But the point being is it's face to face. So much of this, and it goes back to the reactions that we've already had today, so much of this is impersonal and not, it's impersonal. And I think that's why the letters that you're sending, the just listed postcards, those things are making a comeback because it's not online. It's something I can actually touch and feel. And then if I send something in, if I send a just listed postcard in, or if I send, we just sold this and we have other buyers that are interested in this neighborhood, the way you really nail it down is then take the time to go knock on people's doors and say, hey, I'm Sarah Paczynski. I just want to introduce myself. You don't have to tell them you send them a card because they're going to remember they got it. You're just saying, I'm Sarah Paczynski. I'm working in this particular neighborhood. I just wanted to introduce myself so you had a name with a face. I can guarantee you nobody else is doing it. And if you want to differentiate yourself and have an opportunity to increase the potential of things coming from what you send out, I can promise you this. When you send something out like that, and then you take the time over a 3-month period to go and meet everybody in the neighborhood, the next thing you send out in that neighborhood will not feel in person with that person because they've met you. It'll have a different feel to it. It's still probably going to go in the trash can, right? But it's going to have a different feel to it. And going back to the school thing just for a minute, just as an example, the personal notes. You build a relationship with school and they see that you're wanting the best for what's going on. You may have the ability to find out who makes the honor roll. Or when the reports come out and who makes the honor roll. And you might every day write 2 or 3 notes to those kids that because you're a parent or whatever, and just, hey, notice you made the honor roll, congratulations. I'm sure your parents are proud of you. That note is going to be read by the parents because they're going to get the mail most times. And then it's going to be read by the kids. And then it's probably going to be posted on a bulletin board sometimes. And it's just going to constantly remind them, oh my gosh, Susan Real sent a note to, whatever. And again, just as an example, Yesterday, in the progress, there was an article, you probably know about it, Susan. The North Bank School in Afton, have you ever heard of it?
North Branch.
North Branch.
Yeah, no, it's very.
I've never heard of it. God created it 36 years ago. She's retiring.
Charlotte Zinzerman.
Right, Charlotte, yeah.
Zinzerman, yeah.
And so.
She is North Branch.
Right, and they found a person that's gonna blah, blah, blah. So point being is, I wrote her a note yesterday. Dear Charlotte, I sent it to the school because I tried to find it in, she lives in Free Union, and her name was different than in the paper. That wasn't what it was, but I think there was a third name, Charlotte something. Anyway, the point being is, I wrote it care of North Branch School, and I just said, and I used a Buffini card that says, "Oh, the places you'll go," the Dr. Seuss one. And I said, who would have guessed when you decided to start a school where North Branch would go 36 years later? I wish you the best in the places that you'll go now that you're retiring. Michael Guthrie, Royal Realty Company. I did it because I wanted to congratulate her, but at the same time, it's going to say, wow, that's pretty cool.
It is amazing the seeds and how long. I mean, it's amazing how long those seeds sit around. I had somebody call a year and a half because it's my card at Walker Square, one of my Walker Square inroads, and he kept that. A year and a half later, I'm like, I don't keep that.
I've had people keep this for 4 or 5 years.
Isn't that
Because
amazing?
you know who was absolutely perfect, it still is Rob Bell. Rob Bell drops a Hankers News.
Our political.
Yeah.
He's a real guy.
Oh my God, he really is. Yvonne has 6 letters from him.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I mean, obviously.
All right, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Inspired me to try again.
Good.
That's saying something.
Never give up, you know?
And never give up. Churchill.
Never ever give up.
When you're marching through hell, keep marching.
Well, and just as a reminder too,
Not that this-
as you're dealing with things, and you come across something that you'd like to get more information on, would you let me know that that's a topic that you want to discuss on Tuesdays? Because
Thank you, Sam.
I'm happy to do the research and kind of move you toward it, but I'd love to do things that are pertinent to you as well. All right?
Thank you.
Eating local reminds me, we've got a new Sunday evening tradition. We've done it 5 weeks in a row of going to Mod Pizza. And
Right there at Barracks Road.
one of the early times, we saw a guy in line with a swimming YMCA somewhere in New York swimming t-shirt. And so I went up to them once they were seated and I said, "Are you swimmers here at UVA?" And they said, "Yeah, all 4 of them were had just graduated." And mentioned that Eric had been a diver. That was just so cool. And of course, they want you to drop your business card in.
Right.
I haven't won anything for our 25 people yet.
Yeah, I won that.
Yeah, I
And
know.
I put it in there months before that, so they do keep them. I was surprised. I figured after a while, they just go away and start all over again.
Yeah, that was my introduction to them, and now we've been going.
All right, guys, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very good. Good stuff.
Talk about the Rob Bell. There's a gentleman that runs ACAC, and we talked in the morning. We were talking about something, and he was saying how he couldn't get Rob's name. And finally, I was able to come up. He said he sent me a card after my father died.
Yeah.
You know, like a
Wow.
sympathy song.
Yes.
I didn't even know he added.
Yeah,
But he thought, wow,
yeah, right.
that was, he knew he
Yeah.
met my father and liked my father and so on. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
great.
I swear to God.
Which
every
ACA?
honor-
Which one do you go to?
29.
Every honor roll, even in college, we don't call it honor roll in college, and because these lists,
Right.
everyone, every single one, every marathon she ran, every swimming that
Wow,
she did.
really?
Every individual swimming that she did, the same thing for Yvonne, for Yasmin. Amazing.
Hey.
Yeah.
See you later.
All righty, have a good one.
I go home, I picked up half of my tile,
Oh, no.
and I didn't bring my, I had my folder and my, over open pages.
Oh,
And
no.
I just wanted to grab half, and I got here to, I forgot. Oh, my mom just did that.
Oh, boy. Hey, how are you?
Mhm.
You're headed west, huh?
I am indeed.
You excited?
I am. Yeah. I've been waiting to do this for a long time.
Awesome. Well, best of luck. We'll miss you. That sounds exciting.
Yeah.